It all started in World War II. Allied forces were devastating Nazi industry and armament factories with systematic bombing campaigns throughout the territories of the Third Reich. In response, Hitler commissioned the building of underground installations to protect crucial elements of industrial production needed to continue the war effort, and to hide certain top-secret technologies that were under development. The Todt Organization, a group of highly skilled civil engineers, under the direction of Xaver Dorsch, began the construction of the massive subterranean facilities in earnest. But by the time they were completed, it was too late. The Allies had already destroyed nearly all of Germany's industrial capabilities and were invading the fatherland. As American forces pushed further into Germany, they discovered the incredible underground installations that the Todt Organization had constructed and captured many of the organization's members, including Dorsch. Eventually, some of the high-ranking Todt Organization engineers were secreted away to the United States via Project Paperclip to continue their work building underground installations, but this time for the U.S. government. Deep Underground Military Bases, or DUMBs for short, are top-secret subterranean facilities located, in most cases, miles below the surface of the Earth. Commonly built within or beneath hard rock formations, such as mountains, mesas, hills, and plateaus, DUMBs provide maximum security and secrecy for both military and corporate interests. These clandestine underground installations facilitate at least three strategic objectives. Number 1, security, as in the warehousing of sensitive assets, i.e., nuclear warheads, biological weapons, etc., and safe haven of high-ranking military and government officials during national crises, i.e., nuclear fallout, EMP attack, civil unrest, etc. Number 2, secrecy, to conceal the research and development of highly classified technologies, especially those derived from antediluvian and/or non-human origin. Also, to conduct controversial experimentation, especially relating to behavioral modification, genetic engineering, and human cybernetics. Number 3, subversion, to subvert public scrutiny and rule of law, as in the Constitution and Bill of Rights, in pursuit of technological, political, societal, and financial objectives. Though the existence of most of these dumb installations, no pun intended, is officially denied, some of them have surfaced into public awareness, such as the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, formerly the home of NORAD, and the Mount Weather Complex. The well-known, yet officially undisclosed Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center, also known as the High Point Special Facility, located in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, is a continuity of government complex operated by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Completed in 1958, the classified installation beneath Mount Weather was originally designed to be a relocation site for the highest-ranking officials in government, including the President of the United States and his cabinet. Often described as a subterranean city, the base includes a hospital, crematorium, dining and recreation areas, sleeping quarters, an emergency power plant, dozens of office buildings, some of which are 3 stories high, a radio and television studio, which is part of the emergency broadcasting system, and a special train that connects to strategic locations throughout the country, utilizing a high-tech and hidden transit system. The Very High Speed Transit System, or VHST, was a RAND Corporation concept presented to the military-industrial complex in the 1970s. The RAND Corporation described the concept as follows. A very high-speed transit system operating in its own rarefied atmosphere in evacuated tubes in underground tunnels. Most cases considered took less time to go coast to coast, as in 21 minutes, than it takes an aircraft to climb to an efficient operating altitude. VHST's tubecraft ride on and are driven by electromagnetic EM waves. In accelerating, it employs the energy of the surrounding EM field. In decelerating, it returns most of this energy to the system. Tunnel systems would be shared by oil, water, and gas pipelines, channels for laser and microwave waveguides, electric power lines including superconducting ones, and freight systems. Environmental and economic benefits are substantial, and the technology for building and operating the system exists. Although the VHST was never to be developed for the benefit of the public, it was, nonetheless, quietly constructed beneath our feet for military application. There now exists a vast network of subterranean tunnels through which an electromagnetoleviton train, or maglev train, passes at speeds in excess of Mach 2. The maglev train, suspended on electromagnetic waves 3/4 of an inch above a monorail, and moving faster than the speed of sound through a near frictionless vacuum, is able to traverse the distance between Los Angeles and New York City precisely as the RAND Corporation predicted, in under 30 minutes. As unbelievable as it sounds, maglev technology is not science fiction, and is even now finally being considered for above-ground civilian application, though with inferior speed capabilities. The secret construction of both the VHST and the DUMS that they network together was made possible by top-secret nuclear-powered tunnel boring machines called subterranes, the patents for which, coincidentally, were filed in 1972 by scientists working at Los Alamos National Laboratory. Due to the advanced technology employed in these machines, exceptionally large tunnels can be made at incredible speeds without generating residual debris. In his book, Underground Bases and Tunnels, Dr. Richard Sauter explains, nuclear subterranes work by melting their way through the rock and soil, actually vitrifying it as they go, and leaving a neat, solidly glass-lined tunnel behind them. The heat is supplied by a compact nuclear reactor that circulates liquid lithium from the reactor core to the tunnel face, where it melts the rock. In the process of melting the rock, the lithium loses some of its heat. It is then circulated back along the exterior of the tunneling machine to help cool the vitrified rock as the tunneling machine forces its way forward. The cooled lithium then circulates back to the reactor, where the whole cycle starts over. In this way, the nuclear subterrane slices through the rock like a nuclear-powered 2,000 degree Fahrenheit earthworm boring its way deep underground. The United States Atomic Energy Commission and the United States Energy Research and Development Administration took out patents in the 1970s for nuclear subterranes. The first patent in 1972 went to the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission. The nuclear subterrane has an advantage over mechanical tunnel boring machines in that it produces no muck that must be disposed of by conveyors, trains, trucks, etc. This greatly simplifies tunneling. The underground base at Mount Weather is an impressive facility, but it is by no means the largest or the deepest beneath the soils of the United States. The construction of modern DUMS employs technology vastly superior to what was available in the 1950s. We now have the capability to build veritable cities over 10 miles below the surface of the earth, completely undetected by the public. Massive multi-level complexes have been constructed in secret with funding from the black budget, literally right under our noses, out of sight and out of mind. In fact, at this present time, according to inside sources, there are over 200 deep underground military bases in the United States alone, and many more in various countries all over the planet. In light of this incredible reality, a glaring question presents itself. How can something so vast, expensive, and ubiquitous be kept secret for so long? In other words, where are the whistleblowers? Enter Phil Schneider. For 17 years, Phil Schneider, an accomplished geologist, structural engineer, and explosives expert, worked on black budget projects for the United States military and multinational private contractors. Possessing a level 3 security clearance, Rhyolite 38, and a near genius level IQ, Phil was versatile in many capacities, but his primary occupation involved the design and construction of deep underground military bases, including some of the most infamous installations on the planet, such as the Area 51 and S4 facilities in Nevada, as well as the Los Alamos and Dulce facilities in New Mexico. After discovering a nefarious conspiracy involving an alleged collusion between factions inside the United States military and a technologically advanced non-human race living in the caverns of the earth, Phil felt betrayed by the leaders of the country he loved and summarily discontinued work with the military. Disillusioned with the government and enraged at the assassination of his colleagues working in black projects and of his closest friend, Ron Rummel, Phil Schneider decided to break his oath of silence and disclose the top secret activities in which he had been intimately enveloped for so many years. From 1994 to 1996, he lectured all across the country, even under a constant threat of death. In fact, in his final year on the lecture circuit, Phil survived 13 separate assassination attempts involving firefights, car chases, and hand-to-hand combat. However, sadly, the 14th attempt on his life would succeed. On January 17, 1996, Phil Schneider was found dead in his apartment in Wilsonville, Oregon. He was brutally tortured and then, with his hands bound behind his back, was slowly asphyxiated by a catheter tied around his neck. Although Phil's death was dubiously declared to be a suicide, all of the material evidence he carried with him on the lecture circuit, including official documents proving his allegations, along with photographs and fragments of secret alloys used in reverse-engineered military craft, were missing. Besides all of this, Phil had lost the index and middle finger on his left hand in a bizarre incident. There was simply no way that he could have tied the catheter tight enough around his own neck to kill himself. For telling the truth, Phil Schneider paid the ultimate price. So rather than cite his testimony, I will let Phil speak for himself.
I'm Phil Schneider. I spent 17 years in black budget programs, government geologist, as engineer, structural engineer with aerospace applications. Self-taught metallurgist, became kind of famous in my own right. I basically would have a set of notes here, but they're unavailable in all this melee. Up here I have different artifacts explaining some of them are alien metals that have been produced both on this planet and the confines of outer space that are now used in all stealth aircraft. All stealth aircraft, for instance, all black jets, what you're seeing of black helicopters and the like, the skins and the coatings and the residues that are used predominantly in the aircraft themselves, in the airframes and the rotor blades and the fans, and in some cases in submarines, special titanium hulls, in the Phoenix class submarines now. All this has come from alien technology. 1947 is what the public has been told. Something crashed in the backyard in New Mexico, a place called Roswell, New Mexico. Unfortunately, that's what the public's been told. The military's known about the alien question for the better part of 70 years, and they first saw their glimpse of what was going on as early as 1909 in the American Southwest. Now, Army cavalry evidently were chasing some bandits, and they entered this cave. They were holed up in a cave, and what they found in there was flying discs and little gray guys and all kinds of weird things, and they didn't know how to explain that, and they wrote them down as best they could, and it's been in secret archives ever since. And it's up down by the Truth or Consequences area of New Mexico. Well, the alien thing is more than just what I'd call a non-visible threat. We on the surface, first of all information dealing with alien or alien reproduced technology or alien reproduced vehicles or any other kinds of things well hidden from the American public. Our black budget, for instance, garners $1.023 trillion every 2 years. It's over $500 billion a year. Right now, there are 131 active deep underground military bases in the United States. There's 1,477 of them worldwide. Each one has an average cost of $17 to $19 billion. Each one is built in the site. It used to be it'd take a year to 2 years to build each one, and now they're capable of building a couple of them a year with sophisticated methods. My colleague Al Bielek has actually been on some of the high-speed railways, the Magneto-Leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. He's been on a Mach 2 train and floats off of a single rail at a 3/4 of an inch off the rail, and is what you'd call high tech. We have nothing like this on the surface. The public basically has been totally lied to. We're considered stupid or even moronic in some cases. It's got to stop. I have actual crashed retrieval metal from Roswell, New Mexico. It was given to me when I was 14 years old. For instance, I've got other things. I've got pieces of this piece of titanium, a special titanium alloy made for everything from the original SR-71 Blackbird. That's old hat now. F-117As, they're old hat now. They're making a whole new class of hypersonic above Mach 5 aircraft that employ extremely modern charged particle beam weapons. They don't even use lasers anymore. Computer enhanced imaging radar, although it's used in helicopters for public surveillance, computer enhanced imaging radar, and in satellite technology. The brand new kid on the block is a kind of infrared technology where a satellite 150,000 miles out in a geosynchronous orbit, or not quite geosynchronous orbit, but these spy satellites can literally look in and see a dime on the floor, say on your kitchen floor. They have a resolution factor of 99.999961. This particular piece of metal, I'm going to drop it on the floor here. It'll kind of ring like a bell. You can't break it. Withstand temperatures in excess of 7,500 degrees Fahrenheit. It has niobium in it. It also has mironite in it, element 123. Yeah, please do. It's in a non-crystalline form. This is just kind of a dripping out of the main crucible. Here's a crystalline example. It's in the scalenohedral crystalline form. We got this from the large grays technology. This is grown in the confines of outer space, which has not quite a super vacuum, but by the way, this is capable of withstanding temperatures in excess of 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's great for certain parts of aircraft. This kind of material I work with on a daily basis. Up here we have a transparency of Groom Lake. Groom Lake is where the infamous Area 51, S4, S2, a CIA base, it was originally a bombing range, a nuclear test site. It was later become the most secret base in the United States. It employs over 18,000 workers who work in shifts of 12 hours at a whack. Most of them work in the cover of darkness, like us. We built out 9 underground military bases there, each with an average capacity capable of basically a city underground, roughly 4¼ cubic miles hollowed out underground. They have boring machines, for instance. They don't bore, they literally vitrify and melt the rock, deflagrate the rock. It's a very sophisticated laser melting and deflagrating system. It reduces the rock to a powder and then melts the remaining rock as a coating on the inside of the base, so you don't have to use gunite cements and other kinds of things like that. That's all old hat now. Technology is just basically the new technology we get is the old hat of the military. I'm going to be real brief about it. I carried a level 1 security clearance, the Rhyolite 38 Factor. There are very few of us. There's nobody except myself, to my knowledge, talking like this. Nobody. I'm breaking the law. I'm breaking world as well as federal law, coming out and even talking about this to a group of people. I love my country more than I love my life. 2 weeks ago, I was shot in the shoulder. I don't want to gore you women out, but I was shot in the shoulder up here. I recently have become friends of a retired FBI agent who took me under the wing. He says, I've never seen a person braver than you. And I said, well, there's more coming. Our patriot movement in these United States is going to pick up the ball, and we are going to kick the parasites out. But I'm going to be real blunt about it. The government that is now instilled in ruling over us are ruling as we're serfs and they're the kings and queens. Now, that's a feudal system. That isn't even a democracy. We are now being ruled by an autocracy and a technocracy. In other words, technical knowledge as rules as king, with a feudal type system. Feudal systems haven't been used in the last 350 years, and they're coming back like gangbusters. If we are complacent, if we do not speak out in droves, and I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about a bunch of us getting together and getting on this stump and loving our country more than we love our lives, getting on, some of us are going to get killed. I almost got killed a couple of weeks ago. Hadn't been for an FBI, a retired FBI man who risked his life, his career, everything, put it all on the line, and he didn't know me from Adam. A week prior to that, he listened to one of my tapes I gave up in Post Falls, Idaho, and I'm going to be very blunt about, he said that we need a lot more of you, but unfortunately we're not getting anybody. In working with the black projects, I was very loyal. I was picked because I was very strong mentally. There's a bunch of us that were picked because we don't crack under pressure. We don't freak under pressure, so to speak. Everyday events don't bother us. Now, I was involved in something very controversial, almost totally unbelievable to most of you. During the unbelievable part, I was involved in building another base inside of Dulce, New Mexico, which is Los Alamos Laboratory. It's a biological laboratory. On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles hollowed out underground. Then to the southwest of that, we were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. Number of the original wells or drilling machines that were used were at the rate of 2 miles a day. It was fairly rapid. The equipment kept coming up broken, so we wanted to go down. We wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on. Well, to our total surprise, first of all, the government knew all about it. They didn't tell anybody. When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up. The gig was up. First of all, I knew all about the alien agenda. I'll explain that in a few minutes. The large alien grays had been encamped there for, as best as believed possible, about 400 or 500 years. Had been one of their internal bases. And we'd drilled holes right on top of it. All the stinking air, all the black sooty air came right out as soon as the first hole was sunk, and all this soot came up, and well, that's when all the hell broke loose, really. All started. Anyway, after we drilled all 4 holes, it took about 2 days to drill all 4 of them. And when you build a underground base, you drill 4 basic holes, and then you build called stopes or cross-member holes across, and then you use blasting equipment, special blasting equipment by the analyzation of the rock formation, and you literally blast out or tunnel out or deflagrate or melt rock out to build the large rooms that are required for this underground base. Well, in this process, I was lowered down the basket of one of these holes, and about from me to this elderly woman here in the front was sitting a 7-foot-tall alien gray. The stench was worse than the worst garbage can you can imagine. The person or the entity was absolutely horrible. I didn't waste any time. I reached for my pistol. At that time, as an engineer, I didn't have time to carry all the folderol of one of these big submachine guns that all the sea spray and the yellow fruit and all the outer perimeter and inner perimeter security people carried. I carried a little Walther PPK pistol with a 9-shot clip. This was in late August of 1979. Now, you got a regular suit of clothes, you got a regular clothes on, plus you're in almost like a spacesuit environment, and you're reaching for a gun. It's not the easiest thing to do, and then to pop a clip in it and start shooting. And I killed 2 of them. Yes, they're mortal, and they do die. However, in the process, one of them did this. All I remember is that he just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish, and burnt my fingers right off of me. And it was some form of electrical force, because the kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt burned all my toenails off of me. Completely crispy crittered my left foot, burnt the shoe right off of me. All I remember was the smoking remains, and I'm still conscious, but in and out of, I didn't remember much. And there was a Green Beret that was right behind me that risked his life. In fact, he died. But he risked his life. He shoved me back in the basket and hit the button and took me up. And I wouldn't be alive talking to you today if it wasn't for him. I'm forever indebted. He lost his life. 66 Secret Service agents, Green Berets, Black Berets, crack troops lost their lives because the government, our United States government, lied did not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there, and I'm talking dead serious. Now, it gets to the big question. If all this has been hidden from us, everybody says, well, where's the proof? I've got some of the proof laying on the table. But a lot of you probably are totally skeptical. They say, well, I could be anything. In my hand here, I have a piece of what's called corbamide. It's the heaviest element in the world. Element 140. This piece of material weighs 15 ounces. It's 3.5 times the weight of uranium. It cannot be made to emit gamma rays. It cannot be isotoped. It is totally stable. It is used in all stealth aircraft and all Phoenix-class submarines. When combined with other alien elements, it is impregnable. It cannot be melted with charged particle beam weapon. When properly combined in secretive compounds, it can withstand temperatures in excess of 10 million degrees Fahrenheit. This particular piece of metal is an amazing piece of technology. It's capable of being grown in 15 different crystal systems. Now, I'm a geologist, and I, prior to 15 or 20 years ago, knew of only 6 crystal systems. There's actually 15 if you count all the alien metals. Now, this is only element 140. If you look at the local periodic table in your local library, it says 104. Somewhere down the line, we've been lied to and we've been cheated. What we have to do is we have to literally ask for the truth. If we cannot ask for the truth, we must demand the truth. We must take it before courts of law in common law systems, and we must demand it. After the great firefight, the alien-human war, I am the only living survivor talking about it worldwide at all. Only one. The other 2 are in nursing homes in Canada, and the Canadian government refuses to allow any U.S. people, including myself, to talk to them because they are afraid of kidnap. Probably the reason I got shot to pieces and 11 attempts on my life is I am a direct threat to the entire system. The New World Order, the alien agenda is one and the same. It's world takeover and the decimation of the population of this planet. Now, I'm going to tell you something a little bit different about the alien species. The bad news ones, there are 9 races of alien populations. To look at a human being as a bag of food. They're not cannibals. They don't eat the flesh and the bones and all that kind of stuff. They use the glandular secretions of animals and human beings as a mixture of the vitamins for their food. They get high off of our adrenal gland substances called adrenochrome. It's something like cocaine to them. Now, what can we do about it? Right now, if we do nothing, we can do nothing about it, and it will continue to go on. Basically, we'll be led in the dark, and you'll keep seeing more and more people disappear. Right now, there's 100,000 children totally unaccountable through FBI archives, cannot be traced anywhere. They haven't been murdered. Nobody's ever seen them. I think they're hauled underneath in some of these bases, and they are summarily done away with, and they are literally eaten. Now, that is a scary thing indeed. Area 51 is only one base, one of the 131 bases. Of these 131 bases, I call Area 51 a mega base. It's got more than one base in it. It's Tonopah Test Range, Area 51, S2, S4, Groom Lake, and a host of others. Now, these mega bases are gobbling up our gross national product. Right now we're spending 28% of the gross national product on building underground bases solely. That doesn't count for the defense budget. That doesn't count for the spare parts budget. Doesn't count for any of that at all. And the black budget is dead wrong. It sidesteps the United States Congress and its Constitution of its people and says you're a bunch of morons, you don't need to know. Well, a need-to-know basis is an executive order written during the Eisenhower era right after the Greada 1954 treaty and is treasonous and illegal in this country and should be overturned and abolished. I have a young family. I have an ex-wife and child. Defense Intelligence Agency goons tried to kidnap my daughter not too long ago. My ex-wife, working in the state government services in Oregon, picked up her .22 handgun, shoved it in the back of the neck of this one person. Give me my daughter back. If I don't, I pull the trigger. Gave the daughter back. Good choice. Now, the remark that my ex-wife had to say to this individual was, if I ever see you again in any way, shape, or form, I will kill you on sight. You're an abuser of children, therefore I suffer to you that you should not live. By the way, she threatened a federal agent. She should be in jail, blah, blah, blah. Nothing like that's happened. These people don't want publicity. I shot a federal agent 16 days ago. Shot him dead when I was bleeding to death with a shoulder wound that he'd shot me. He had shot at a retired FBI agent who theoretically carries the same covering as a Secret Service agent. Got protection forever. He's a cop forever, federal cop forever. Now, that doesn't mean a whole lot. I made a report and went to the FBI. Do you realize, you know what they said? They said, things like this happen, Mr. Schneider. We don't either believe you, I'm using that as my own italics, or we don't give a damn. Now, something's wrong here. I'm not reading this right. I defended myself to the best of my ability. I was hoping I could go through life without doing such a thing. And maybe some of you have actually defended your own life in a similar fashion. It's very sad you have to shoot or kill somebody. Maybe some of you were police officers and have had to do the same. And I don't know if you ever kill a human being, you're never the same as a person who never has killed a human being. It is with you for the rest of your days. Whether you do it in war, whether you do it in murder, whether you do it in self-defense, you have taken one of God's holy creations off this planet. And there is a void there. And I feel that, and I'm very sorry for that. But I had to defend myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. My message must continue. I'm doing it on my own money. And I'll continue to do it. As long as it takes. As long as I've got to live. I've got cancer. I'm dying. The radioactive substance that I got hit with in 1979, late August of 79, it's a similar form of aplastic anemia. It affects your blood and your bones. My bones are extremely brittle right now. No cure. The government never told me about that, by the way. I haven't, but I have downloaded 140,000 pages. Would you go on down the line? Yes, sir. How about yourself? I will take anything and everything to get the word out.
If the testimony of Phil Schneider is simply too incredible for you to believe, consider this. Men are not assassinated unless they pose a legitimate threat to someone. Those who are conspiring in secret beneath our feet, subverting our laws, and dancing with the devil, will go to any length to conceal their deeds, and will eliminate anyone who dares pull back the curtains and expose the works of darkness to the emancipating light of truth. Finally, I am compelled to bring this analysis to a conclusion with 2 verses from the Bible. Woe to those who seek deep to hide their counsel far from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. They say, "Who sees us? And who knows us?" For my eyes are on all their ways. They are not hidden from my face, nor is their iniquity hidden from my eyes. Reporting for SteveQuayle.com, I'm Timothy Alberino, and that's my analysis.